any member of council that has anything that they would like to bring before the body for a vote? Councilman Parr.
Thank you. I actually have a couple of things, if you don't mind. First, I'd like to ask the staff and the management to see if they could explore all funding methods for public education, including doing it by category, funding formulas, whatever we have that's available and whatever's used throughout the Hampton roads and things, so that we can get with that.
Do you want to put that in the form of a motion?
Second. Yeah. Is a motion.
We have a motion and a second by Councilman Duman. Please prepare to vote. Please vote. Madam Clerk.
Motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
Councilman Parr?
My other is we're starting the budget process. We've already heard earlier tonight that we're going to be about $2 million.
Almost $3 million.
Well, okay, almost $3 million short. And I'd like us to start having some type of basically citizens' budget input as to, if we come down to it, what they want to have cut, what services we would reduce, I mean, across the board, so that we can have input, so they won't say they haven't had a chance for that. And obviously, I think in the past, we've had something similar to that here in the council chambers, but have that opportunity, maybe do it on different, if we do multiple, we'll have a night one, an afternoon one, and a morning one, so that you could maybe address the concerns of those people that have odd schedules, who always say, well, y'all have it at night and nobody can be here, you have it in the morning, nobody can be here, and you have it in the afternoon, nobody can be here.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was something that I had been thinking about and talking about for the last couple of days as well. I do think we need to have input from our citizens. I think we need to hear from the folks that are paying the taxes and the folks that are receiving the services to tell us what it is that they want to see, what they don't want to see, you know, what would they want to pay more for, what would they want to cut, anything. Any suggestions, any ideas, because as you said, we know that we have approximately $3 million less, and we already know that we have a $9 million request from the schools, plus we haven't even seen the rest of the budget. We're not even at that point as yet. But I don't think it's too soon for us to start asking the questions to the citizens. What is it that you truly want us to focus on? And actually, there are some dates that we have here that, just to throw out at everybody, if you look at your calendars, and, you know, we had Monday, March 11th. That may be too soon. That's this coming Monday. Tuesday the 12th, Monday the 18th, or Tuesday the 19th. I personally was thinking we probably would not want to do it on a council night, because this is a different type of meeting. It's more of just more of a chance to converse with our citizens, is what I was thinking. So, Councilman, Vice Mayor Brown, you had your last.
I was thinking along the same lines, but if I could add on to what you were saying, I think it's very important before they began to have a wish list and to cut this and cut this. I think it should be made very clear on how much revenues that we have and how much people requested. So they will have to know, regardless of what you do and say, we have to work within these amount of revenues. And not only this, but we need to recognize all the different departments. Because if you allow just a citizen to come up here, if they education, but if you go all education and cut out public safety, if you cut out public safety, then you're not going to have an education system. If you cut out public works, you're not going to have an education system. If you cut out utilities, you're not going to have an education system. So all these things work in a homogeneous fashion here. And I think they need to be educated on how the system works first. And then once you find out how the system works, then you can talk about cutting. But it makes it very clear that they understand this is a homogeneous. And if you cut one part of the chain, the whole chain becomes weak. You no longer have the same chain. So that's what I'll be more interested in the educational process before so when they speak, they can begin to speak based on substance and not on personalities.
Councilman Miltier.
Speaking about the budget process, some of you probably wasn't here, but we had a superintendent, Forrest Frazier, came out with a method some years ago, and it worked real well. First, he would come up with 2 budgets. Fully funded, we could do this was fully funded. A partial funded, we do this. The public needs to know, okay? Money doesn't grow on trees in Suffolk. Okay, the public should know what we're able to give and how much services could be rendered under certain circumstances. It worked years ago. Those who were not on council probably don't know anything about that. How about you, young man?
What was the guy's name?
Forrest Frazier.
For my time.
How about if we started with the idea of doing one and seeing what type of participation we get and what we can always do more. We're starting fairly early here. I just kind of throw out the idea of March 18th, which is a Monday.
My whole thing was I just want them to give me some, if it comes down to cutting and what's going to have to be reduced, I mean, what if maybe somebody can come up with an idea, well, maybe why don't y'all just pick up trash every other week? And I mean, I know that's a far-fetched idea, but I'm just saying.
Anything.
I'm not going to be here for them to be bashing, saying, I want you to take that person's money, I want you to take Councilman Fawcett's money, I want you to take Councilman Ward's money, I want you to take your own money, and I don't want to hear that kind of stuff. But
that would be wonderful. It would balance the budget, but I'm afraid it won't work.
If 20,000 or 15,000 will do it, they can have it.
I think the 18th? No, I don't, because I think, you're going to see how quickly this budget rolls around. It comes very quickly.
And maybe what might be helpful, I will be presenting my budget to you on April 3rd. That means you only have 3 weeks before my budget is going to be presented. And, by charter, Constitution, Virginia, my budget has to be balanced. You heard the presentation coming from Gene Jackson, our city assessor, today, and you had comments coming from Ms. Ann Seward. We're already down by $3 million. So that's giving you some sense of where we're going to be, what the challenges we're going to have. So 3 weeks, I have to bring a document to you all, which will balance the needs of the city as best I can. So the sooner you can get some input from the public as it relates to if there is a desire to cut services, what are those services, or if there's a desire to raise revenues. I think you all as a council and certainly me as a city manager, we want to hear those thoughts so that we can certainly bring something that can reflect what direction I receive from the city council. So the sooner the better from the perspective of the city manager.
You said at first
I just threw out a Monday, the 18th. Councilman Ward?
Am I clear you saying that you're going to have the citizens come in and suggest what they want?
Right, whether
for
they
education?
want... Yeah, whatever they want to tell us. Whatever. I mean, if they want dollars to go to education and to come from somewhere else, if they want to raise revenues, whatever their thoughts are. I think we'll find that the citizens have a lot of thoughts and some of them we possibly may not have thought of.
In all due respect,
Sure.
are we willing to listen to this, the people that comes in? Because if you're going to have people come in, where are we going to discuss which way we going? Are we going to, where do we have time to discuss that?
Well, the budget process will not have started, so that gives us that, yes, we're taking all that in before we actually get into that process, whereas, frankly, the budget hearing is too late. At that point, we have a document, and at that point, everything's there, and it's very hard to start pulling and moving and whatever. So I think by starting it early and taking the input, we'll end up with a better product.
Okay, now, I can go with education, but a lot of things, the people don't have no idea how the city works. You talk about different areas. I don't see a whole lot of people coming for that. But
I think
do
you'll
see
be surprised.
Well, you say that, but I'm saying you're going to see more people come about education. That's the more priority right now, I feel.
That may be, but we're looking for how do we pay for all these things?
Yeah.
How do we balance this, and how do we take that pie and break it
when
apart?
you say we, who are you talking about?
It belongs to this council,
Council,
ultimately
right?
this
So
budget.
If if you think the people know how we pay it?
The
I
budget's
mean,
online.
in other words, you're saying you're trying to get a crowd of people in. I understand that. But the attendance, I'm worried about. That's what I'm trying to say.
I
How
think
many?
you'll get the attendance. I really do. We haven't held one of these for a long time.
Right.
And I think what I have heard in years past is that the budget hearing process is too late to really get people's input.
Well, okay, let me give you an example. Maybe that's me. When we gave the city manager a raise, we were looking for the doors to be coming in. I mean, people thought we could have a whole lot of response from what we see in the newspaper. We had 2 people come in.
Well, with all due respect, you're talking about one thing
But that's what I'm saying,
versus the entire city budget. We're talking about millions of dollars here.
How many people know about the city? I mean, how many?
But Lou, what I'm looking,
No, it's not Lou. It's just what I'm saying is that
Listen.
we're talking about what I see now. Our problem is education.
this is a golden
I see
chance.
that.
Just a minute.
I see that.
Our problem is the
As far as
whole city
what's the,
running
I understand
the entire.
I understand CIP. What I'm saying right now, one of the biggest things we have and where our money goes is education, right?
Well, I'm not speaking of CIP. I'm speaking about the operating budget. That's a huge piece here. We got a couple lights on, so let me, Councilman Duman.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I think it's, I think it's an excellent idea. I mean, normally, I haven't been doing it as long as Councilman Milter, but you're exactly right. Once budgets have been formulated and the documents are drawn, at that particular juncture, it's awfully hard, even with input, to modify, what's been drawn out, because it's a very extensive process. One of the things we hear all the time, just like you mentioned, Councilman Ward, is that people don't feel like they have an opportunity to speak, and if they do, then it's really not heard, and very few things change because it is so hard to change them. So if this is done in an open forum, which I believe is what we're talking, kind of a town hall type format, where people, can present their views and express what's important to them. Are they willing to raise taxes to further fund this, or are they willing to, if they had their druthers, take $100 from this and move it over here? And if we, as a body, legitimately listen to their concerns, then it affords them the ability to voice their opinion in an arena where, unlike a council meeting where it's more formalized, it's very hard to do. And in this case, regardless of what their knowledge is or what their knowledge isn't, we'll have staff people there, I would assume, to be able to talk about it openly and take the time to describe it. Now, if this is publicized the way it should be, and the citizens do not afford themselves of that opportunity, then they have nothing to squeak about if they don't like the results. And that's how I look at it. This is an opportunity to get some input. They wouldn't necessarily have to show up for that input. That is also a time where, they can contact us as council representatives, and we could bring that input forward for them. Our constituents called, and I had 6 people call me, and this is what they would like for me to bring up, and I would welcome my constituents to call me if they couldn't come to one of those meetings, or email and let me know what they're concerned. But, I want to commend the city manager and the mayor for, the forethought to do that. I mean, that's basically all you can do to get the information out.
Councilman Parr.
In the past, we've always had public budget talks, and would be here, and people would come up. Very little attendance, and they'd all say, well, you're not going to do anything we say anyway. But I was amazed at the number of people that lacked the educational process of it, and they actually went through it, and by the end of the night, most of those people that came in with a chip on their shoulder left here like, oh, well, I didn't know it was like that. Now I understand. Now I'm happier, other than, well, you always got one that's not going to be that way. But, I mean, in the end, it's better to do it beforehand. Hopefully that'll make them put a few of the errors, keep them in the quill.
Well, and also in fairness, we're talking about us being there. these budget meetings before have not been with the council. I think the council being there will make a big difference, too. Councilman Fawcett?
Basically, I think Mike said it probably as elegant as you can, but we have to really stress, the complaints keep coming, oh, we don't hear enough, we don't get our input, we don't get to, have anybody care for what we say. This is your chance. This is your chance. We're opening those doors for you to come in here and let's get it going. Let's get it going. Let's let the people speak. And, we might have to make some tough choices here. And so this is a good time for them to weigh in on those tough choices. So I applaud you. I think it's a great idea. And then I don't have to hear everybody say, well, I didn't know it was happening. Or I didn't get a chance to hear about the budget. Well, this is your time. And I really suggest that as many people that can pack the house to come on and let's go. Let's get it out there. And I thank you for bringing that up and doing it.
Vice Mayor?
Good. I was going to agree. I think it's a great concept to have all citizens to come before this body and to share with us their ideals and their solutions on how we can work within these parameters and accomplish our goals with the limited amount of resources that we have. And I think if they focus, we can get things accomplished. But if you just allow, if it's just open and say what you want to say, then I think we may be just stay focused. If we stay focused, it's going to be a great idea. It's going to be a great idea if we stay focused.
Councilman Miltier?
This concept is not new. Those of us who have been around some time know that the budget process has been open to the public, and this is a method of doing so. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. It's dangerous to have a little knowledge. It's better not to have none at all. A little knowledge will just get you up the tree, hung, and can't move. I think the more we open this, the better off we are.
I agree.
Councilman Gardy?
Well, I heard the assessor tonight and say what the situation is, and everybody knew it because everybody knows the economy is down. We're going to be behind. Assessments are down. We're already $3 million behind what we were last year to try to figure out how to run our city in the same effort that we put in last year, which was a good effort. So we have facing us right then. That amounts to 3 cents on your tax. Actually, it's a little bit more than that, but I use it about $1 million for every penny. So we are a tax increase. So anybody who can come in and give us some advice, and the people ought to know what we're talking about, that every million we're behind, it represents a little bit more than a penny on your tax rate. And we're talking about $3 million just because assessments went down, and we're facing $9 million more that was been requested for the school board. So we have to work with a budget like everybody else has got to work with a budget. So we're more than happy to have the public come in and help us with this difficult dilemma. So I think it's an excellent idea.
Well, if we were to start with the 18th, and then if we feel we need to add others on, we can put them in. And the other thought was something that we were just throwing around, the idea of having it possibly at the conference center instead of having it here. Our conference center at the Hilton. It's a larger facility. It would seat a lot of people.
What time would we start?
Madam Manager?
I would recommend 6 o'clock.
Okay. So I'm going to make a motion that we have a budget input.
You think maybe 6:30, just to let people get home from work? And
people don't even get in the door good till.
Time go back Sunday night.
well, but it'll still be 6:30 or 6
Yeah,
o'clock.
I mean,
You just want to turn your lights
So I'm going to make a motion that on March the 18th at 6:30 p.m. at the
Will that work, Madam? The conference center? Can we?
conference center.
We'll call on that, right?
Can we use
Conference,
the Kings Fort, the high school?
No, we want to do it neutral.
My thought was that we'd go somewhere that has nothing to do with
Okay.
city,
Yeah,
you know.
neutral zone.
Conference
Neutral-
center
neutral
is,
site.
conference center belongs to everybody.
For a budget input public meeting.
6:30.
6:30, is that the time?
Yeah.
All right. We have a motion. We have a second. Please prepare to vote. Please vote. Madam Clerk.
Motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
Thank you. And how will we go about advertising? What will
We'll
we do?
handle
Okay, just make sure we get that message out. And then after that, if we see that one as being really well attended and all, we can go for another one if need be. Is there any other new business? Councilman Parr, your husband.
I know. This isn't about a vote thing, but I just need some clarification from the city attorney on the letter from the superintendent about the capital